Why is Andrew Tate so popular? Why is he, or has he been, the most Googled man on the planet? We're going to talk about that, but first, I want to welcome my new subscribers, 1,621. And here are the most recent few that I have. Batty K, thanks for joining us. Global Passport Crew, welcome. Glad you're here. And Lisa Perlman, thank you and welcome. I don't think I have a lot of women on here, but I'm glad you're here. And any comments you guys have, please feel free to put them in the comment section, or if you'd like me to speak on something, I would be glad to do that. I like my subscribers, and one of the reasons I do is because I know if you're listening to me, you're not a complier. You're not going along with the status quo. You believe in individualism, you believe in living the life the way you want to live it, and you don't believe in allowing other people to program you with their agenda. You have your own agenda, you were born with it, and you have the courage to dig down deep and bring that out, the desires within your heart. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here listening to me, because what I would say would annoy the hell out of you, because that's what I talk about here. I am here to inspire, enlighten, and build up humanity, one person or 1,621 at a time. But I'm glad you're here. So let's go with Tate. Why is Tate so popular? I believe as far as men goes, he speaks to the depths of men, what is really inside each man. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, men are natural warriors. If you look throughout history, we are a warring race. The human beings are a warring race. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't gotten any better. Maybe someday we will reach enlightenment where we all love each other, but it may be a few 10, 20, 30, 50,000 years. As of yet, we haven't gotten there. We have discovered new ways of killing people easier and multitudes at a time, but we're still doing it. So that's just the way it is. Now, there are many, many beautiful things in the world that happen every day, wonderful things, loving things. So we have the good and the bad. The unfortunate thing is the media doesn't cover those things. You have to look for the good. You have to look for the beautiful in the world, but it's there. And whatever you focus on will grow in your experience. So you have to ask yourself, what do you want more of in your life? If you continue to watch the news, or I call it negativity or drama, or it's almost like going to the movies, you're going to see more of that. You're going to draw more of that into your personal life and have more of that into your environment. But back to Tate. Why does Tate gather so much attention? Because he's speaking the truth that a lot of people don't want to accept. Because if a man, let's talk about the people that hate Tate, the Tate haters. If they hear what he has to say and it pisses them off or makes them angry, it's because there's a truth inside of them that he's revealing to them that they don't want to accept. And each of us need to think about that. If you see something you admire in someone, you could not see that within them unless you had that very same trait within yourself. The same way, if someone annoys you greatly, then there's something inside of you, you do the very thing in some other aspect of your life maybe that person does. Otherwise, it would not bother you. But you don't want to see that within yourself, so you project that out upon them. That's just the way it works. Okay, with Tate though, he's speaking to the, as I said, to the deepest part of each man. No one wants to be controlled. And he's speaking against the system. From the time you're born, you're controlled by someone. Your mother, of course, she's doing it to keep you safe. If she loves you, trying to protect you, feed you, nurture you. Actually, she raises you up. Without her, you couldn't survive, or your father, both. Okay, but then you go to school, and then you're trained by teachers to submit to authority, to comply. Now, if you were like me, and I know probably most of you were somewhat like me or you wouldn't be here, You didn't like complying. You didn't really go along too well with school and the way they taught you. It was always set in the rows, get up when the bell rings, sit down when the bell rings, go eat when the bell rings, go to school when the bell rings, get out of school when the bell rings. It's a perfect programming agenda for training you to get a good job, just over broke. Now, there are some good jobs out there that make a lot more money than what I do. But in general, it creates a worker drone, a slavery, like Tate talks about. The slave, how would you say it? The slave mind. It creates a slave mind. You're programmed from the time you start school to get a job. And I was told, like maybe some of you are or were, that if you don't graduate from high school, you won't get a good job. If you don't go to college, you won't get a good career, job, whatever. And that's all bullcrap. They told my father that, they told me that, they told my kids that. It didn't stop me from anything. I've succeeded beyond what most of the, well, probably all of the teachers in my local school have done. But then that depends on what you consider success, okay? Everybody's idea of success is different. I like Earl Nightingale's definition of success. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. A person is doing what they want to do. So if you have a job and you like that job and you're doing what you want to do, then you're a success. But if you have a job and you hate that job and you want to do something else, then you're not a success. You're just existing. You're leading a life of quiet desperation, as Thoreau said. So what Tate does is he lives a life of freedom. He does not submit to authority. He does not comply to authority, at least in the respects that they want him to. And that's why he got canceled. I've watched this stuff for several years now. I've never seen him say anything that compares to some of the other things that are put on there by the agenda of the mainstream media and whoever's behind all that. Some of that stuff is definitely degrading to humanity. Basically what Tate is saying is to stand up for yourself, be your own man, and live the life of a masculine man. But that doesn't go along with the agenda of trying to feminize all men. If you can feminize the men, it's the same thing as back in the old days when they would have a war, they would go into the villages or the cities and kill all the men. And then they could subdue the country. They could take over the country because there's no one there to fight. And what we have now is a push to get rid of masculinity. Like there's something wrong with masculinity. And Tate actually embodies the idea of masculinity. He doesn't lay down for anyone, and nor should you. Now, I know the system is pretty powerful. I come up against the system myself here about 10, 12 years ago, and I fought the system, maybe not in the way that I should have or I could have, and I didn't fare too well. I had to leave the country. I was gone for 6 years because they were going to throw me in jail for false accusations. I think Tate has experienced that also. That's one of the reasons he does not live in the U.S. I went through a similar thing that he went through. Fortunately, I was able to straighten it out and I came back here, but I understand that. He also talks about, how does he say, participating in the corruption in the other countries. I think that's how he says it. Now, I could be wrong about, I'm not saying it verbatim, but he talks about why not be somewhere where he could be a part of it. I don't think that's how he says it. How does he put that? Basically what he's saying is we have corruption all over the world. All the governments are corrupt. Why stay somewhere where the corrupt government is going to manipulate you and control you, maybe even try to put you in jail, when you can live in another country where if the corrupt government tries to pin something on you that's not true, you're able to get out of it by cooperating or paying them off. I experienced that when I lived in Latin America. Fortunately, I had a little money and I got pulled over by the police a couple times, and not for anything that I did wrong. It's just a game they play in these other countries, and I had to pay them, and then everything was okay. So there you go. That's basically what he's talking about. Not that he's breaking any laws, or it's saying that he is breaking any laws, but when you live in a land of corrupt government, which all governments are somewhat corrupt, why not be somewhere where you can participate or benefit from it? You think we don't have corruption here in the U.S.? I mean, I know you guys know or you wouldn't be here. It's obviously blatant. But in the U.S., to participate in the corruption, you have to have millions of dollars, actually probably more than money. You have to have connections. You have to be able to do things for people. You have to have pull, as they say. Sometimes I don't even know if I should talk about things like this because, as I said, I dealt with the system here on a small level in my town and actually had to leave the country. You've got to admire these people that have platforms like Tate, and there are others too who actually speak out because they are putting their lives at risk. I think Tate was talking about having bulletproof glass in his home now. He is more concerned about, he made a statement the other day about, I'm not going to commit to terminate himself. Yeah, just in case something happened to him. So it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of masculinity to speak out as he is because he knows how many people hate him for it. But as I said, he touches the very soul and the depth of each man, because within each man we have the desire for freedom, which is very important. And it's just something that drives us. And if you don't live as a free man, it's not living. Look how many people throughout history have died for freedom. That's something we seem to forget here in the U.S. Millions of soldiers died. I don't know how many thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans died in World War II so we could have the freedoms we have today that some people just piss on and don't even respect. These are important things. These are important things that men have given their lives so women and children could be safe. We have a disrespect of men here in the United States, a lack of respect for what men have done, what men are doing, and what men still can do should the need arise. All these people who complain about toxic masculinity or even masculinity would be begging for someone like Tate, should everything go to hell. Should the grid go to hell, no electric, no power, no water, they would be begging for people like that. Someone who could handle things. But we live in a society that we have created an illusion, as I say many times, to where people don't need, or women don't need men. But the men have created that illusion. The men have created systems and structures so women don't need men directly. You go to other countries, women still respect men because they know they need men. Men need women. Without each other, we would become extinct as a race. So this division of men and women is really ridiculous. But who's created that? Who's pushing that agenda and why? You need to stop and think about that and ask yourself, what can I do to not participate in it, and what can I do to bring men and women back together? If you want to change the world, you have to begin within yourself. I think Gandhi said that, and it's true. If I want to make a difference, I have to make a difference in me first, and then that'll be reflected in my environment. I can't tell you guys or suggest or advise you to do anything if I'm not willing to do it myself. And if I'm not willing to do it myself, then I'm just blowing smoke up my ass and your ass too, because it's not going to help you. There's no weight or no authority in what I say. So when I tell you these things, it actually helps me and reinforces in me what I need to do. We as men need to stand up and be men. There's nothing wrong with being masculine, and there's nothing wrong with being feminine. Femininity is a great power. Look throughout history how feminine women have helped men to excel to great heights of power. And guess what? For every king, there's a queen. Think about that. And how much power does the queen have? If you're a woman and you want power, she's just right below the king. And if something happens to the king, guess who has all the power? As is shown by if a man passes on here, the woman inherits everything that he has. So what is wrong with that position? We all follow someone. You know, if we don't follow anyone here on earth, we follow God, a higher power, something we feel is greater than ourselves. Each of us submit to something. The laws of the universe, the laws of land. You can't go stand out in the sun all day naked and not expect to get burnt. Now that may seem like a ridiculous analogy, but you have to submit to the power of the sun and do, so to speak, what the sun wants you to do. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt. Go look at the sun directly. with your eyes. You can't do it. I better tell you not to do that, because somebody may do it and then try to blame me for it. But we all know what happens if we look at the sun directly. So we have to submit to the power of the sun by looking away. It's a kind of a funny analogy, but it's true. So we all submit to something or somebody. Just be sure that what you're submitting to has your best interests in mind. As the sun, if my dogs go lay in the sun because they realize they need the sun gives them life. The sun gives you life. The sun gives life to everything on the earth. Some people used to worship the sun as a god. Without the sun, we would all die. So the sun, you could say, has your best interests in mind. Do the governments have your best interests in mind? Some of them do. Some of the people in the government truly want a better world, and some of them don't. So just be careful who you submit to. All right? I'm going to stop there. Make sure you like and subscribe. I should have told you at the beginning. Once again, thank you and welcome to my new subscribers. I'm glad you guys are here. Be sure to join us tonight on YouTube. If you're watching this on IG, at Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration. We're going to have a show at 7 o'clock with Pauline. We're going to have some clips. We're going to talk about Tate because he seems to be what is trending now. And what else? Join us Saturday night for the Powers Within podcast, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. As I said tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'm out of here. Take care, you guys. Thanks again for joining me. Share this with a friend if you think it will help them. Take care.